No, those guys are pussies.
They're going to take over the world.
Cutting that out.
Are you?
Over my dead body, they're going to take over this world. That's not going to happen. Not as long as Gen X is around.
You will be dead, just so you know.
A Gen Z has no skills to kill a Gen Xer.
They don't need to kill you. They'll just wait you out. Didn't you just say on our last podcast episode that you were you had to go toe-to-toe to teach some teenagers what's what and basketball, and you proved your point, which is super fantastic, but give it 3 years and they're going to waste you.
Probably.
Yeah. We're downhill, man.
Hey, look, they'll never beat me in bingo.
We live longer, so our downhill isn't as steep.
Wait, it's you're Gen Z?
No, I'm Gen X. No, we, as in you and I, live longer.
There's
a whole millennial.
Okay.
The millennials that are in between Gen X and Gen Z. You just skipped an entire generation of people.
We're doomed.
I wouldn't say I missed them.
We're doomed.
But we missed them.
I wouldn't say we missed them, Bob. That was from Office Space. Remember Office Space?
I love Office Space. So many good one-liners. Also, what I really
liked
about... So
you've been missing a lot of work lately. I wouldn't say I've been missing work, Bob.
What I really love about Office Space is that not only was it a funny movie where you got a lot of one-liners from it, but the movie was enjoyable to watch. Whereas like Napoleon Dynamite, great one-liners off of that.
Don't you dare.
Terrible movie to watch. Same with Talladega Nights.
We threw Grandpa Chip's war medals over the bridge.
Yeah. Terrible.
You're going to let your kids
movie.
talk to their grandpa that way? Yes, we are.
Which is I mean, we made the millennials. So I mean, I am borderline millennial. Technically, if you look at the years you're born, I was born in 81. Technically, Gen X starts in 1980, but there's gray area as to
there's some overlap there, right?
Yeah, and so I claim more Gen X than I do millennial for sure. I mean, I was a latchkey kid. I came home when the lights came on. We were told we couldn't hang out inside. You know, I mean, there's that one video that goes viral. The guy is like, "So you guys drank from a hose when you were young? Were sinks not invented or whatever?" He says. Yeah. No, bitch. We were not allowed inside. We had to fend for ourselves. If we went inside, it was only to pee, and we were only allowed to do it so many times a day, which is why we peed outside constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got in trouble if we went inside. If we went inside, it was the last time you got to come inside, and then you got to stay inside the rest of the day.
Yeah, because being a kid, when we grew up, I was born in 72. When were you born?
81.
81, okay. It's about a 9-year difference.
So we're like the bookends of Gen X.
Right.
You're almost a boomer.
When we heard the ice cream truck coming down the street.
Oh, my God. Panic attack for cash.
Yeah. The parents did not go out and check and see who was running that cart.
No.
You know what I mean? That little ice cream truck. No. Nobody cared. Nobody looked. Hey,
they threw money at us and said, "Go get your ice cream." We're like, "Yes."
Yeah, they didn't care who was driving that little ice cream truck. Lo and behold, there was some sketchy stuff going on, right?
Pretty shady guys.
It was kind of like playing card games. You win some, you lose some. It was like that with kids. Oh, they're at the, they go outside and play. Sometimes they come home. Sometimes they don't.
I remember that the house where our ice cream man lived was awesome. Like, I never went in the house, but you drove by and you'd see the ice cream truck sitting in the driveway. So you just knew that that's where he lived.
Yeah.
And he either had an army of ice cream trucks that you never saw, or there was some other things that was going on there, because I am convinced that the 2-month season that is the ice cream truck season here in Oregon. So it was weird when I went to California and the ice cream truck's going through in December. In Oregon, it literally goes from like July 1st to August 30th. That's
all we get out
That's
here.
The ice cream truck hours or days of the year. And so for him to sell ice cream for 60 days and to have the house that he either had to have a second job, a fleet of ice cream trucks, or some shady dealings. But our parents didn't come check where we were buying the ice cream from.
He may have had a sugar mama.
I doubt it.
I doubt it too.
Yeah.
How many ice cream truck drivers do you know have a Cougar Sugar Mama?
Well, the ice cream was what, 75 cents or something? It was super cheap.
Yeah, he's slinging more than ice cream.
The ice cream was less deformed then than it is now. Like the kids go out and they get like the SpongeBob ice cream, and it looks like it's all half melted, and SpongeBob it
looks like a Picasso painting.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas ours looked like whatever the character was supposed to be. It looked like Spider-Man. It looked like a rocket launcher or whatever.
Yeah, we didn't have that. The main ice creams that we had through those trucks were either ice cream sandwiches. We had the Astro Pop, the red, white, and blue. That was always a popular one.
Okay.
And the other one was
my favorite.
Do you remember the push-ups?
Yes.
They were in toilet paper rolls.
Yes, they were.
The little cardboard things, and there was a stick.
It was like the Flintstones. It was like the Flintstones pop-up or push-up ones.
Yeah, yeah. Very simple. I'm in the wrong business. I should have started something like that.
Ice cream?
Well,
or like Uber.
I don't really know.
Okay.
Well, I mean, think about it. Whoever made that
good talk
came up. Somebody, some poor guy was sitting on the toilet and had this epiphany. I could put ice cream in this now that I've run out of toilet paper.
Yes.
And put a little toothpick in the straw. How about a straw? I mean, like who? Think about it. No. Think about the push-up. Right. The push-up. Okay, you guys get me. You remember the push-up. And it was always orange sherbet, right?
Yes.
I don't think they ever changed. Maybe there was other flavors, but think about it. How was that invented? The dude was, I'm telling you. I don't know. There's only one explanation. The guy was on the toilet. He was on the toilet. He sat there. He ran out of paper and had an epiphany.
Right.
Who is sitting on the toilet, runs out of toilet paper, and has an epiphany? I could put ice cream in this thing and sell it.
So put
a little paper cap on the top and a straw underneath.
There's a quote.
Why am I using a redneck? Because only a redneck
would think of a toilet paper tube for ice cream.
That's what I'm thinking. Mm-hmm. I don't know though. That's not what we're talking about today, though, is it?
So there's this random quote. I think it's Paul Allen, but don't quote me. Don't quote me.
The Nike guy.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So no. Yes.
Is he Microsoft or Nike?
I get them confused.
Paul Allen, he owned the Blazers.
Phil Knight is Nike. Phil Knight is
Paul
Nike.
Allen owned the Blazers.
Paul Allen owned the Blazers, owns
Still
the Blazers.
Does, probably, I don't know.
And is Microsoft. So they're both Pacific Northwest, which is why we're confused over here. But there was a quote that came out, and he said that he would rather hire a lazy person to get the job done than a go-getter, because the lazy person is going to find the cheapest and most direct way to do it. And he's 100% right.
Well, he's not wrong.
No, which made me, the whole toilet paper ice cream thing made me think of that.
But the lazy guy is going to cut corners because he's lazy.
Well,
that's the curse.
He's going to go direct and not necessarily cut corners, but find the most efficient way to get there.
Yeah.
Right. It's not going to be complicated. It's going to be like,
the quickest way to get somewhere is cutting corners.
Maybe.
You got to have a lazy guy who has an attention to detail, I guess. I don't know.
Growing up as a Gen Xer, my favorite thing was 3:15 p.m. when we got home from school, and they had the cartoons on. It was like a series of like 4 cartoons.
Yep.
I can't remember it. It was like a block of TV. Each one was 30 minutes long. Yeah. Remember what that was called?
I don't remember the official name for it, but I remember 3:15. I started watching at 3:30. We get home from school at like 3 o'clock. We get a snack. I think something was already on. I think it was the Jetsons at 3 o'clock.
Okay.
But then at 3:30, my shows hit 3:30 to 4. Because they were all a half hour long, right?
Right, yeah.
3:30 to 4, 4 to 4:30, 4:30 to 5. And then we would do homework and get ready for supper.
And then
supper.
So I never had supper. That's a
I grew up in I grew up in Georgia.
That's an East Coast thing.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, we didn't. That wasn't even in my vocabulary. I didn't even really know what supper was. Somebody had to explain it to me.
It's the meal before dinner. Sometimes it's one and the same, but in where I grew up in Georgia, at least, you had breakfast, lunch, supper, and dinner.
Oh, okay.
And you had supper like around, 4:30 or 5. Then you had dinner at like 7:30.
So is supper like a snack? And why don't you have a meal between breakfast and lunch?
Because you're in school.
Concentrating in school.
Concentration camp. I was going to say concentration camp.
Well, okay. And then my second.
No, I don't know. That's a good question. We had snacks.
Do you remember TGIF? The T.
Thank God it's Friday.
TGIF.
TGIF. That's...
Yeah, it was like a block of TV shows Friday night.
No.
And it had like Family Matters and I can't remember.
No, that's after my time. So we're 9 years apart.
Yeah.
So, but that's what we're going to talk about on today's show, right? We're going to be talking about. Let's talk about We're going to talk. If y'all didn't hear that, there's some
Lauren
people are very
outside.
angry at the intersection outside.
Yeah, they are.
We're going to be talking about the television shows that we grew up watching and the impact that they had. Let's go back a little further.
Sure.
What is the first TV show as a small child, even if it's a small child, that you remember being exposed to and watching, et cetera? That you can remember?
There's 3.
Okay.
There's 3, and I don't remember them fully.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Oh.
Night Court.
Oh my gosh.
And MASH.
Oh, okay, so
those were like the 3, because my dad enjoyed watching them, and we watched them on this boombox looking, electronic system, and it had the radio, it had the UHF, VHF, and so we had to tune the TV using the VHF and the UHF, and then the TV itself was probably like a 3x3 black and white square. So it was black and white TV. It was on our kitchen counter. So my mom would be cooking dinner, and my brother and I and my dad would be around that TV because we didn't have a TV upstairs. Our house was shaped funky. You walk into our house and you kind of go over a bridge to get to the living room kitchen area. Oh, and then downstairs was our TV room, my parents' room, and then mine and my brother's room when I was growing up. And so in the kitchen, we had this just tiny 3x3 black and white TV that was literally in a boombox.
That was the only TV you had, was this little 3-inch thing?
No, upstairs. Downstairs, we were the only family with a big screen TV. So my dad was very, very not innovative because he didn't invent it, but very forward thinking when it comes to electronics. And so we always had like usually the latest and greatest things. So our TV downstairs in the TV room was a projection TV on a 50-inch screen. No, it was 60-inch screen. And so there was a box in the middle of the room, and there was a TV in the box, and the TV was upside down. And the TV projected into this mirror, and the mirror flipped it right side up and projected it onto the screen where we would watch the TV.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's been years since I've seen something like that. Yeah,
and it was like a container, and my friends always loved coming over and looking and seeing the upside-down TV. And there were certain spots on the couch that, as a child, you needed to sit so that box wasn't in your way of the TV.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were the first to have a giant screen TV.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I remember seeing those back then. It was Circuit City, I think, or Sears. But I remember seeing those.
I can only imagine how much it costs for the time.
Oh, know? I don't remember. There's no telling.
Yeah. But playing like Super Mario Brothers on that system.
Oh, dear Lord.
My friends loved coming over and playing video games because their TVs were, like a 35-inch or a 25-inch or whatever in their living room, which was
good for that time.
Yeah, which
was
now
average.
That's how big our computer monitors are.
Right, I know, right? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So you were watching MASH, Cheers, and what was the other one?
Night Court.
Oh, my Bull.
I
loved Bull. He was probably my favorite, but what a great judge.
And I don't remember.
I could have used a judge like that.
I don't remember most of them. I just remember that we watched them, and Cheers is the one I remember most, and I think that's probably because pop culture-wise, that's what people bring up most. And Ted Danson's still around. He's still acting, those kinds of things. But all of the other ones, I just remembered that we watched them. I remember bits and pieces of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have one in common. When I was small, my dad would lay down on the couch, and I would watch MASH with him. And we would watch MASH. We'd watch Hogan's Heroes. I don't know if you remember that. It's an older show too. MASH and Hogan's Heroes were the two I remember watching with my dad. But before that, there was one called, I they had like bird stuff on. They looked like birds. They were dressed up like birds. I can't remember the name of it.
Was it a kids show or?
You know what? I'm going to look it up while we're talking and stuff. But yeah, it was a cartoon.
Oh.
But I remember that as a kid. But the first shows I remember watching as a small child, you're going to laugh at me because I still watch these shows today. Again, was MASH, Hogan's Heroes, and the other one was wrestling.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Back old school wrestling. Gorgeous George, Wahoo McDaniel, who was this native guy. He had this big headdress on. Anyway, there's a whole plethora of those. I've been watching wrestling as long as I can remember. And I don't watch it a lot now, but I keep up every once in a while, but checking it out. But everything was, as far as TV shows goes, was connected with my dad. I didn't really realize that till just now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And
same with me. My mom didn't watch a lot of TV.
Yeah. Well, I was too young to really understand MASH, but it was funny. Hogan's Heroes was funny.
Recently, I come across a reel. Somebody said we should all rewatch MASH. So now I kind of want to just watch it.
Yeah, because there was an incredible storyline. The whole storyline was great. Yeah. And my dad was in the Navy during Vietnam, so there was that connection, and he really liked that. So that was pretty cool. But then as I got older, and I would come home, and this is outside of the elementary school, when we get more into late elementary school, middle school, I would get home. That's when I remember the 3 o'clock Jetsons. 3:30 was the Flintstones. 3 o'clock. Sorry, 3 o'clock was the Flintstones. 3:30 was the Munsters.
Okay.
And then I think 4 o'clock was Leave It to Beaver.
You have a much different lineup than I had.
You really missed out if you didn't watch Leave It to Beaver.
So my lineup was really. DuckTales.
Oh, yeah.
It was, I can't remember what the name of the show was, but it had Kit the Cloud Kicker and Baloo. It was like a play on Jungle Book? Yeah. But it was like Baloo was a pilot. I can't remember what the show was called. But anyways, those were the shows that I was watching.
Yeah.
And this was I went to in-house daycare at that point.
Yeah.
And when we get there, we'd have a snack and we'd go in there and watch those TV shows. They were awesome.
Oh, funny.
Well, I mean, and speaking of wrestling, because you talk about it a lot, and I know that it has really molded some of the things that you talk about. And I sent you a video the other day.
You did?
Yeah, with The Rock. And I'm not going to play the video, but I am going to read to you the thing that I found interesting about what he had said about it. And this is really why I sent it to you, is they were in the middle of filming something. And The Rock, his role in filming was to beat up this guy. And the director calls, cut. And The Rock says, no, we're not cutting. Because he's all like hyped up on whatever it is. And basically what he's saying in here says, I hate constraints and bullshit rules. And just because someone at WWE producer says clear, meaning we're no longer live on air and the show is over, that doesn't mean I just stop whatever I'm doing and tell everybody great job. Mm-hmm. It fucking pissed me off. I can't shut my high emotions off just because a script says we're done.
Yeah.
So you say things like, jokingly, we all know that wrestling is very intense, but it's a script, right? They go in and usually they already know who's going to win. We don't know. We find out, as the script plays out. Yeah. But some of that is very real. I mean, you have to be very, you have to work out. You have to have, what's it called? Anyways, I don't know where I was going with that, but you grew up watching all of that.
I did.
And it started out real fake and then just got more real as it went on, I think. And it is intense and it's hard to turn that off.
Yeah, I would say fake is never, I don't think that's ever been a good word for wrestling because what they are is they're stuntmen. If you look up The Rock beating, or look Google or YouTube The Rock whipping Cody Rhodes, You will see The Rock take a weightlifting leather belt and wear his back out, and you can see the marks. It's real. It is choreographed, but they're like stuntmen. They take the hits. You get hit with a chair. Yeah, they break their wrists so that it doesn't hurt as bad as if you're really getting hit in the head with a chair.
Right.
But you're getting hit with a chair, period. And that part is real. Toned down, yeah. Hulk Hogan can hit you in the head with a hammer and not make you bleed, but you're going to get hit in the head with a hammer.
Have you seen the movie Fighting with My Family?
Oh, the Becky Lynch, or the Paige.
I don't know what her name is, but
her name is Paige.
It was an
Sarah.
excellent movie.
Yes.
And that was, The Rock is in it. And I think he discovered her or produced her, something connected with The Rock. Or maybe that was just her hero.
Yeah.
But she got to meet him. But that shone more light on to the wrestling community than I think most other movies do. And it just shows the high intensity. I also like, there's a show on Netflix about, it's called Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
Yeah.
And I
remember that.
I don't think it's based on a true story, but, or if it is, it's loosely based, but, it's women in wrestling, and it's pretty intense, and they have to work out. They have to practice this choreography. I mean, it's a fine dance. It's a the industry of women in pro wrestling, the choreographed wrestling, has come a long way. It used to be they had to be like beautiful in bikinis, like it was like that. They called them divas. The divas. That's changed. Now you have more full-figured women. You have women of all types. Some of them still would look gorgeous in a bikini, that kind of a thing. It used to be you had to be eye candy, or you couldn't be a female wrestler, and the men were just brawny. And now you have wrestlers like Ronda Rousey, who is a real fighter. Shayna Baszler, real fighter. Bailey, who's my favorite. She's not your Sports Illustrated model. She's vicious. You have Nia Jax. She's a big girl, and she is vicious. You have this range of characters instead of the women used to be kind of boxed in to this. You had to look a certain way. Now it's more of, can you beat somebody's rear end? Can you make the fans believe? Really wrestling, if you want to make it in wrestling, you have to have one major skill. Outside of athleticism, you have to have microphone skills, number one. And number two, you have to make the crowd love you or hate you. Yeah, charisma.
You can't put it into their hands. You have to make them love you or hate you. Because if you get a reaction out of the crowd, you're going to be successful, no matter what you look like.
Right.
You look at somebody like Sami Zayn. Google him sometime. Sami, Samizayn. He does not look like a wrestler. He looks like the guy, I don't know, on a construction site. I mean, he's not muscular. He's not anything, but the crowd cheers him like there's no tomorrow, and he is a star because of it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you're not bringing that star factor in, then the wrestling world has no use for you.
No.
Because your purpose is to bring in viewers. I mean, just like with any other thing. I mean, look at Tom Cruise and the Mission Impossible franchise. People who don't like Tom Cruise watch Mission Impossible because it's just a great movie. There's violence but no blood. There's really high intense action and really cool choreographed stunts. All that kind of all of that.
Yeah.
And which makes for really great movies. And you have to do that in wrestling.
Yeah.
No matter what type of wrestling you're doing. Now, in sports, like football and things like that, it's the sport itself that kind of brings in people. And sure, there are key players, and they put them on show and on display, and it brings the people who wouldn't necessarily be sports people in. But wrestling really relies on
it does.
the charisma of the performers.
Yeah, I mean, think about one of my favorite movie series is Mission Impossible. I absolutely love Tom Cruise in those movies, but here's the deal. Can you imagine if there was no Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible? No major stars, just actors.
Yeah.
Like, I'd probably still maybe watch it, but what would come of it? Not much. It's the star players that make it, and which is why who gets paid more on the Mission Impossible movie set? Who gets paid more than Tom Cruise?
The director, maybe?
Nope.
Nobody.
Nobody. A monkey could direct that movie and it would be a hit because he is just that good.
Right. He made it that way.
He's just that good. Yeah. I mean, Hulk Hogan, for example, he saved wrestling. The WWE was dang near bankrupt. It was really headed downhill until Vince McMahon Sr., not the current owner, but before, pushed Hulk Hogan, and so did Vince Jr., and here we are. Without Hulk Hogan, there is no pro wrestling, not at this level. There's no John Cena, there's no The Rock, there's no Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's the bottom line, because I told you so. That's one of my favorite guys of all time. How did we get into wrestling? We're talking about TV shows, Aaron, and you know if you get me talking about pro wrestling.
You were talking about how it was one of the things you really enjoyed watching with your dad.
Okay, yeah. So let's move on to high school.
Well, here's another show I loved watching.
Yeah.
And I always, if I was in trouble and I was sent to my room, it was the show I always got out of trouble to go watch. So my dad liked watching Masterpiece Theater with Walt Disney. It was on the Disney Channel. It was called, instead of Masterpiece Theater, it was Masterpiece Theater. And it was Walt Disney sitting there in a leather chair, chatting it up, and then they'd show cartoons. And then it'd come back to Walt. Walt would talk a little bit and then go back to cartoons.
Actual Walt?
Walt. Yes, actual.
Unfrozen Walt.
It wasn't live, right? Because Walt died in the 70s.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it was recorded back in the day, and there were reruns of shows. But I would go in and I'd snuggle up next to my dad, and he'd let me watch it.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was another one that I loved watching.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, I've been a Disney kid for a really long time.
You think? How many times have you been to Disney?
Disney, well, not as many times as I wished I would have. Disneyland. So I live in Oregon. Disneyland's in California.
Right.
Once a year when we were growing up. And then Disney World all the way across the U.S. I think I've been there about 8 times, 8 or 10. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I would go much more frequently if we lived closer, but it's so dang expensive just to fly and then stay.
I know. So I grew up in Georgia, Augusta, Georgia, first half of my whole childhood till basically my senior year of high school. And we went down to Orlando all the time. I've been to Disney World so many times and just loved it. It took, back then, it took a solid 3 days just to make a round.
Right.
And that was back then. That's the 80s.
Yeah.
Now, oh man, they added Animal Planet out there.
Animal Kingdom.
Animal Kingdom.
Yeah. Well, it's
impressive.
It's incredible. So if people have been to Disneyland.
Yeah.
And California Adventure.
Yeah.
And then they go to Disney World. They underestimate how much bigger Disney World is than Disneyland.
Hence the word world.
Yes. I mean, it is incredibly large.
Yeah. Well, and then you also have Epcot and Universal Studios.
Well, Universal isn't part of Disney, so you can shut your mouth with that Universal
whoa,
crossover shit.
Whoa. What? Jeez. Did you guys see that? That's hate speech, and I feel you have inflicted violence on me, on my soul.
So,
what is your problem?
Well, let me educate you. Disney World has 4 parks and 2 water parks. So the 4 parks are Magic Kingdom, which is like Disneyland, and then it has Epcot, which is not like anything we have out here.
It's a big golf ball.
Sure, yeah. There's a ride inside of it called Spaceship Earth.
I've been on it.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that ride. It's a good. It's like nothing to write home about ride, but it's like comfort.
It's like Magic Mountain.
It's like comfort food.
It reminds me of Magic Mountain, because it's all indoors.
Oh, well, I mean,
it's pitch black.
Literally,
the mountain's pitch black.
Literally,
right?
It's like 5 miles an hour, though. It's
Yeah,
so
it's
slow.
not.
It's
a small world,
It's
but
the
in a golf
history
ball.
of the world is basically what
Yeah.
it is. And then you've got Hollywood Studios, which is kind of like California Adventure. And then you have Animal Kingdom, which is a giant, really cool zoo with rides.
My favorite ride at Disney World was actually, at Universal Studios.
Get it right.
Was the Jaws.
Oh, okay.
You go through and Jaws comes up out of the water.
When you go to the backstage tour.
And it's the actual Jaws they use in the filming of the movie, whose name was Bruce.
Is that one, do they have that one East Coast
gone
too?
now.
Or is it just West Coast? Because they have it West Coast. It was there when we went.
Yeah, they shut it down for a while back. They shut the whole Jaws ride down. I mean, Jaws is, what was it, 1972 for Jaws 1? It's old, but it was like the major attraction. And then Guardians of the Galaxy, I think,
is
a really major one.
I might be wrong, but Hollywood Studios used to be called MGM.
Oh,
remember?
It did?
Yes.
Is that the same thing?
Yes.
Oh.
And they used to have a backstage tour, and I think that what you're thinking of was there. West Coast, it's at Universal. So there's like a weird copyright thing that has to do with the Mississippi River. So like on the East Coast, Spider-Man is part of Universal, but on the West Coast, it's part of Disney because of some sort of weird laws or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it says here that Universal Studios, Florida, Orlando is where Jaws is.
Okay.
But I think it might also be, that's Orlando.
Okay. Yeah,
But
because I know
they might also have one.
Well, I know MGM Studios used to have a back lot tour, a back lot, just like Universal
I know California
does,
has the back lot. I've been on that.
Universal California does, but not Disneyland. So Disney World at MGM Studios used to have that back lot tour, and then they had the Osborne Street of Lights or something that was the like the Ozzy Osbourne, and it was their, I think it was their Street of Lights, and it was like the backstage stuff, and then they took it and lit it up for Christmas.
Yeah.
They got rid of all that stuff.
Okay, I got it. It says here that Jaws is at Universal California, but get this, January 9th, 2024, it's closed.
Oh. So we got to see it when we were there in 2023.
Yeah.
I brought the kids, and we saw it.
Yeah,
and now it's
you're
gone.
right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Bummer.
it's on both. Yeah.
Yeah.
January 9th of 2024,
right.
gone. What is 2024, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, dear Lord.
I really like
boy.
I really like the backstage tour. I mean,
I
it's
did
long, but I think it's rad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
Yeah.
speaking of dates, you want to hear something weird? I was working with a client last night, and we were working on some website stuff, cleaning some things up, and they got an email from GoDaddy from, what month are we in right now? April?
April, yeah.
So it's April, today is April 4th. So this would have been on April 3rd. The email came to them from April 8th, 2024. I was like, no, that's got to be spam. Like, you don't get future email from
Right.
GoDaddy. Anyways, that was really, I've never seen
odd.
email dated 5 years in the future, or 5 years, 5 days in the future. Right? Because your email system dates it for you.
So was it the date on the actual email or the date of send? Like it was sent on that date?
Yeah, that was sent on that date.
Because you can put any date on the email that goes out.
Yeah, it was sent that day.
What?
Weird, right?
What are you into?
Parallel universes and portals, I guess.
You know what? I'm not convinced that what do you call it?
Parallel universes.
Parallels.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that that's not a thing. You know, I'm pretty convinced there's no Bigfoot.
You're pretty open mind for such a religious dude into parallel universes.
Well, here's the thing. Okay. I'm a Bible guy. Mm-hmm. You know that.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell you everything about everything.
Well, so it can't. It's too small. There's a lot of things.
There's a lot of possibilities out there, right?
Right.
The Bible doesn't say there's no such thing as aliens. The Bible doesn't say there's no such thing as Bigfoot. The Bible actually mentions dinosaurs, but that's a whole other issue. But it doesn't say that there aren't different realities, because everything that we see, we can observe with our five senses. Does that mean that that's all that there is? And I can prove to you that that's not the case.
Yeah.
I believe you have a soul, a spirit within you.
Sure.
I don't believe you're just wet. We're not just wet robots.
I'm not just a body bag.
No, you're not just a body bag and your neurons are firing in certain directions and you have no control. Right. How would you be able to trust your own thoughts if you, there's you, inside there's you. Well, I can't see your spirit, but your spirit is there. You know what I mean? I don't think that's a far stretch of anything. This is why, I'll give you an example. Have you ever thought about doing something, but something inside of you said, don't do that?
Oh, yeah.
Your brain was telling you to do it because for whatever reason, okay? That's survival mode. We seek pleasure. We push against pain versus pleasure. Whole psychological principle, right?
It's just probably why you don't like working out.
Something inside of you and something inside of me battles against what we're thinking. Right. What is that thing battling? It's your soul or your spirit, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
The you inside. And so we cannot observe that part of us. We know that it exists because it is us. So what else is out there?
Do you want to hear
Are you laughing at me?
No, I'm laughing.
You're laughing at me.
I am laughing at something I heard the other day.
All right,
and I'm laughing at it
What
because
happened?
I know what your reaction is going to be immediately before I even say it. So I was talking to somebody about Bigfoot and how we want to have the guy. I know, you have Bigfoot literally on your shirt right now. I mean, come on now. Come on, meow.
Oh, you noticed that?
Yeah.
There, look,
yeah,
right.
there he is.
There he is.
So
yeah.
I was talking to somebody about Bigfoot and how I wanted the person who owns Cliff, the Bigfoot Museum in Boring, Oregon,
nice guy,
to come on and be on our show. And she was telling me that a friend of hers, when her and her father or her grandfather went out camping when she was young,
somebody threw rocks at him,
really saw Bigfoot. And I was like, really? And she said, yeah, they go like looking for Bigfoot all the time. They go hiking and looking for him. And I said, look, my co-host believes that Bigfoot doesn't exist because he grew up in a place where Bigfoot would be, a hood ornament if Bigfoot existed because of all the
100.
hillbillies that live next to you, right, or around you. And she went on to tell me that her friend told her that nobody can see Bigfoot unless Bigfoot wants you to see Bigfoot because of their cloaking capabilities. And this is something I had never considered before. I never considered that a mammal. Well, there are animals with cloaking capabilities.
Yeah, lizards.
Okay, why can't it be a mammal though?
Because they have hair.
I mean, if we're believing in things we can't see, just throwing it out there.
That
just
doesn't give
noodle
you a
on
ticket
it.
to believe anything that you can't
Just
see.
noodle on it, my friend. Just noodle.
Do you believe in love?
I do.
Yeah.
And I can't see it.
Hold out your hand and show me an ounce of it. You can't do it. It's real,
you
though.
can't see emotion. I mean, I've never seen $1 million.
Right. But we've seen the effects of emotions. We see the effect. You can't see gravity, but you can see the effects of gravity, right?
Have I seen the effects of $1 million, or have people just told me that that's how much something costs? I mean, I've never actually
look
seen
at people
it
who win the lottery and end up
or
broke.
anything.
Look at the people who end up with millions of dollars from the lottery and they end up broke.
Supposedly they
That's
had millions of dollars.
It's a government
I'm
conspiracy.
just saying, sometimes it's okay to believe in things just because.
I don't disagree with that. But I do think that
It's an interesting concept because I'd never heard that Bigfoot has cloaking capability. I mean, I live in the Pacific Northwest. We talk about Bigfoot quite often. I mean, we've talked about it on the show half a dozen times. No. I've never heard about cloaking capabilities. I'm like, all right, okay, tell me more about this.
Yeah. Anyway. I don't know of any other mammal on Earth that has a fur coat that can hide itself.
Same.
Now, you look at something like a leopard or a lion is the same color as kind of the wheat fields.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's already that color. It doesn't change into a color. Yes. Hair doesn't do that.
Right. It lives in an environment that cloaks it naturally.
Right.
Like goats, right? Or
goats?
Yeah, goats when they're on the side of a hill. So in Southern California, there's a really great park. It's called the Wild Animal Park. And it's kind of safari style. I know. They stretch real hard to come up with that name. But a
lazy person put that together.
They have this safari thing that you can go on. And you get to a certain part where all of the mountain goats are.
Yeah.
And you look on this cliffside and they say, count how many you see. Okay. And then we look up and, you look and you're like, okay, how many do I see? And then they go and tell us how many they have in that space. And it is exponentially bigger than the number that you come up with, right? So that just natural cloaking abilities because of the environment they live in.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they cloak themselves. They're not Star Trek.
Well, I don't know.
I'm just saying it's an interesting concept.
It isn't. Yeah, that's okay.
To ponder.
I mean, it is.
I'm not sure I believe it. In fact, I know I don't believe it. But I also believe there's a lot of people in this world who aren't crazy, who are very sane, who believe in some of these things. And so I honor the fact that they believe in those things, if that makes sense.
Yeah. When there are things that just are outside of just basic logic, and I'm not sure whether I want to believe it or not, I go to the historical evidence, archaeological evidence, where there are eyewitnesses, and so I look at that, and I don't think a lot of things you can say without question, this person existed, or without question, this happened. Mm-hmm. Well, no. I mean, like, for example, I know that George Washington was the first president. Have I ever met him? No. Have I ever seen him? No. Well, okay. Is there a record of his life? Yes, there is. Mm-hmm. Is there writings of his life? Yes. Not only by people who were born far after he was dead, but writings of people for when he was alive.
Sure.
That's how we know, and we can take our best guess, to look at the evidence and make a decision based on what evidence there is.
Right.
And that's where I lean back and forth on Bigfoot. I do that with everything, including religion. Let's look at the evidence, psychological, historical, biographical, all of those tests, and I make a determination from evidence. I don't make a determination from quote-unquote faith or belief or anything like that. The evidence is what determines how much faith or belief I have. For example, I'm not 100% convinced that Bigfoot does not exist. Mm-hmm. I'm about 80% sure he does not exist.
Or existed at some time. Maybe he doesn't exist now. Maybe he existed at some point in time.
I'm not.
Maybe.
That's a possibility. That's where that 20% comes in, because I can't dogmatically say there's absolutely no Bigfoot. I can't say that. How do I know?
Yeah.
Was I there?
Yeah.
Do I walk with him? Do I see him? Did I see him strapped to a redneck's hood? No. It is. And for those of you who are offended by me calling some people rednecks, I'm a former redneck, so there you go, Georgia and Oklahoma, right there.
Well, speaking of things that are conspiracy theories,
what happened to TV shows?
Biggie and Tupac.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So
Suge was behind all that?
Well, okay. So I have heard recently, now that this new Nickelodeon documentary has come out. Have you heard about the Nickelodeon?
Nickelodeon is a kid's show. They're into gangster rap now.
No. Have you heard about the Nickelodeon documentary?
No.
So there's a documentary that came out, and there's a lot of children who were very abused
by that producer
on the set. I don't.
What? Yeah, it's that heavyset guy. I know what you're talking about.
There's like 2 or 3 of them, I guess, that have been named.
Now they're all coming out and talking about it.
And then Diddy disappeared. right? So he went to some island place that they have no extradition. And
did he leave the country?
I
heard it was a rumor. He actually did it though.
It was on a news
on
channel.
Epstein Island?
Well, apparently he used to hold, like, he's like the Epstein of rap guys, I guess. And so from what I understand, from what I've read, is a lot of those parties had a lot of video cameras. And so nobody's going to call him out because now all of a sudden they're in trouble. So which has led to, somebody told me that now they're looking into Tupac and Biggie's death because of all this stuff that's coming up now. And so I'm not, I know Tupac's dead. I know he's dead.
Yeah.
But I'm not convinced Biggie's dead. I'm also not convinced Elvis is dead because they just found him as a pastor at a church. Have you seen that? You should Google it. Not right now, but we'll Google it when we're done. Aaron. No. We'll Google it when we're done. I just convinced 3 people the other day that he's alive. I'll show you. Remind me.
Elvis is a preacher in Memphis?
I don't know where. I actually don't know where. But anyway, so they're reopening the cases surrounding the deaths of both of those rappers because of all. I mean, it's like you pull on a little bit of thread, right, and all the shit comes pouring out. Can I throw something very interesting? Absolutely. Do it.
We don't have to discuss it because I don't know much about it, but I do have some history in law enforcement. I know who investigates what and what entities investigate what. Let me ask you something. Who raided P. Diddy's home?
Oh, I have no idea.
Homeland Security. Oh. Since when does Homeland Security investigate pedophilia, federal crimes? That would be the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
See, I don't know what each of them do.
The FBI did not raid Diddy's home. Homeland Security did. What does that tell you? Homeland Security is designed to protect...
Sex trafficking?
What's that?
Does that tell me sex trafficking? I don't know.
That's an FBI issue.
Oh, okay.
Whenever you're crossing state lines, that's how you know typically that's an FBI issue.
Okay.
When it's sex trafficking, it's typically deferred to the FBI. We have Homeland Security raiding Diddy's home and collecting evidence. Why? I believe the only reason Homeland Security is involved is because there are videotapes of politicians, very powerful ones, just like Epstein, okay? And if word got out that the most powerful people in place currently have partaken in this, it would be a national security issue.
It'll never come out.
It will never come out. Same as Epstein's list.
They'll protect them.
Yep, same with Epstein's list. They're going to show us some names, but they're going to redact or lose the others. That's why you look at Epstein's, the security cameras. You mean it wasn't working? Oh, interesting. That night it wasn't working. Oh, that's very interesting. But the fact that Homeland Security has raided Diddy's home, not the FBI, Homeland Security should tell you everything you need to know about this situation.
Well, and they'll only release the names of people that are strategically supposed to go down.
Absolutely.
It's nuts. It's all nuts.
Absolutely.
This is why I have trust issues, my friend. Question everything. My dad always taught me growing up, trust nothing you hear and only half of what you see. And basically it's, question everything.
Absolutely.
Always.
Well, and now with AI getting into the picture, you can't even trust what you see anymore. I don't even trust half of what I see.
I've seen those videos of Trump and Biden and Obama, and you can still kind of tell that they're fake, but it almost looks like the portrait mode on an iPhone where it's kind of fuzzy around the head. Yeah. But give it weeks, not months, not years, weeks. Yep. And that will be all ironed out and perfect. I mean, look how AI first started and hands look all funky and it couldn't figure out how to do people's hands. It straightened that up real fast.
Yeah. We should, that's a whole episode. We're going to talk about AI for a whole episode. We have to.
Yeah.
But I think we need.
Well, we will be because Patrick Burton will be on. And so we can talk about some AI there. He is an AI guy.
Yeah.
So he can help us with that stuff.
Yeah.
And just talk us through like what's coming out, what's going on.
Yeah, I don't even have Chat GPT. I don't know how to use it. I've heard about it.
Oh, I use it all the time.
Really?
Oh yeah. like multiple times a day.
Oh, God, let's save that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to drop gold right now for these people.
Teaser.
So we got to end this.
Yeah, we should.
As an adult,
Yes.
your favorite TV show, your Mount Rushmore. I love Mount Rushmore's. Top 4
Yeah, you do.
TV
The top
shows.
4.
Maybe not as an adult, of all time. Top 4 shows of all time. Do you have one in mind?
So I have a couple in mind, and I tried to get my kids to watch them as kids. And then when I go back and watch these shows, I think, why was I so obsessed with these shows? They're not as great as I remember. So one, totally random, Gummy Bears. Gummy Bears, bouncing here and there and everywhere. Yeah, loved the Gummy Bears.
What about Strawberry Shortcake? Were you a Strawberry Shortcake?
Strawberry Shortcake came out when I was little.
Okay.
Just like My Little Pony and Rainbow Bright.
Okay.
Those were all when I was like 6, 7 years old.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of a little too young to grab on, and then they disappeared during the formative brain years when you're really into the pop culture stuff.
Yeah, like Care Bears and stuff.
Yeah, same. All of those were in that early 80s category. I would say other TV shows that are really influential from my childhood.
Well, let's do this. One from your childhood, and then the other 3, basically maybe what you grew up with. One that you childhood, one that you kind of high schoolish, kind of a little bit more mature, and then the final 2 as an adult.
Okay, so I liked like when MTV first started doing their reality TV shows.
Oh yeah, like the Real World,
Real World,
yeah,
Road Rules, those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
I like them for the reason that they taught me why I hate reality TV. I'm just not into shows where people are just mean and they pit them against each other.
Yeah.
So that one person is a winner.
Mm-hmm.
Road Rules was a little bit different in that they kind of had to work together.
Yeah.
But there was always some conspiracy theory backstabbing and stuff, and I'm not down with it. I don't like it.
That reminds me of the island one. Was it Survivor?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've never watched
cutthroat,
Survivor.
man.
Yeah. I've never watched Survivor, Real Housewives. I don't watch any of those.
Once, but...
And then as an adult,
like a teen.
Teen?
Yeah, like 90210 or like.
I love 90210. I was like 12 when that came out, though.
Yeah, you were young.
Yeah, I was young. I loved watching that. I don't know. I don't have any real. I really don't know.
Yeah. All right, an adult.
An adult. One show that really sticks into my brain, and it's very depressing, and I'm pissed off the entire time I watch it, but it's like a train wreck, is Handmaid's Tale.
What is?
Yeah, it's on Hulu. It is a book. It's based on a book.
Yeah.
It's Handmaid's Tale. It's insanity. What I hate about it the most is that I could see it happening in real life.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. That's 3.
I thought that was 4. Okay. 4.
Well, wait. The first one was.
So I said like Gummy Bears.
Gummy Bears. What was number 2?
We went from Gummy Bears to Handmaid's Tale.
I know.
That's insane.
That's okay.
That's a pendulum.
There's more
swing.
shows, but
Holy
I mean, if
shit.
you had to pick 4.
Yeah, that's insane. God, I don't know. I'm just trying to think back to different shows that I would watch. I loved like True Blood. True Blood.
Is that Tom Selleck? No, that's Blue Bloods.
Yeah.
What's True Blood?
True Blood is a vampire show that was on HBO. It was a book. So it was
bunch of skinny kids up in Washington running around the woods.
No, this one was all adult.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. So this was the Sookie Stackhouse series of books. And then HBO took it over and created their own.
Okay.
It's called True Blood. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I really like that show.
Yeah. All right. I would say my, as a kid, the one that sticks out the most, I had several. I like the Munsters. I like the Flintstones.
Okay.
I like G-Force. That was the one I couldn't think of with their bird people. Anyway.
G-Force.
Yeah, G-Force.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, it was a Japanese, but it was also an American. In America, they called it G-Force. But anyway, I was small. You would have been barely born probably. So I'm going to say as a childhood, probably the Flintstones. I've seen every episode. As I got a little bit older, I think probably, man, and I didn't tell any of my friends this, 90210.
Yeah.
I had the biggest crush on Jenny Garth. It was not even funny.
Well, that was a good satire show. You know, I mean, it was like the first real teenage soap opera.
It was. And I couldn't relate to any of them because they were in Beverly Hills, right? And I could not stand Brandon Walsh. I can't remember the actor's name, Jason Priestley.
Yeah.
I could not stand his sideburns. And also Luke had these sideburns. I couldn't stand the sideburns, but I liked the show. That was a teenager. But as an adult, I would say one of them, I really have three. I need 5 faces on Mount Rushmore. Number one, don't laugh, is Friends. I've seen every episode.
Okay.
I've owned every season.
That's a good
I know every line.
tune-out TV show. You know,
really
watch
is.
it in the background.
Yeah. My wife and I watch probably Friends. It's on nearly every night.
It's comfort food.
Yeah, it is. It's white noise, but we know every line.
Yeah.
I would say Friends, and then this one's more recent, but it's not my favorite of all time, is The Blacklist.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
James Spader.
He is the perfect Red.
Oh, my gosh.
Perfect.
I even have a fake Twitter account called Raymond Reddington. I am that guy. If you look it up, hey, follow me on X. You know what I'm saying?
Not official.
I haven't. No, not official. But I have not posted in a really long time. There's a bunch of them.
But
I am a Reddington.
What do you post on that?
Reddington.
Do you?
I post everything, the monster inside of me, the Reddington inside of me, inside of all of us.
Okay, so it's not you, so you feel like you could just say all the things that you couldn't say if it was your name on it.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
This is why I love Raymond Reddington so much. He is my alter ego. Like that guy is me. That's who I would become. He's your spirit
animal.
He is. If I was not a Christian, that's what I would be. That's what I would want to be.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
You do know that he murders quite a few people, right?
Yeah, but they're all bad.
Okay. Okay.
I love Raymond Reddington. But my favorite sitcom of all time, hands down, it's not even close, is Seinfeld. I am a huge Seinfeld.
Yeah,
there's not a show I haven't watched.
I don't get Seinfeld. I don't get it.
You're not a Gen Xer.
I feel like maybe because there's no storyline. Like I've heard a lot of people say
it literally has no direction.
Yes. Well, I've heard a lot of people say about our podcast, oh, it's like Seinfeld.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when that catches on, we'll have millions of subscribers.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Seinfeld.
But anyway, that should wrap it up. I actually have to go to work. Some of us actually have jobs.
Yeah. Same. Cheers.
I know. Hey, I want to give a shout out to somebody who means a lot to me. I know we didn't discuss this. Behind every great podcaster is a spouse. I want to send a shout out. I want to give all my love today in this episode to you, Mike. Mike, without you, she's nothing. And I just want to say I appreciate you. I appreciate he texted me. Did you see he texted me?
Thank you, Mike, for making me not nothing.
Yeah.
Because, standing on my own 2 feet is exhausting.
Yeah.
So I need your crutch. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, Mike is not your crutch. He's your stretcher. Without him, you don't.
I'm nothing.
You travel
I'd
nowhere.
Fall. I would go nowhere.
Yeah. Are you going to give props to the great woman behind this podcaster? Are you going to reciprocate that, or are you going to leave my wife in the dust here?
So what I would say about Joanne
is... You feel sorry for her?
Yes.
I
was actually going to go there. I'm sorry. I try to take them off your hands a few hours every week, so you're welcome for that. And it takes a real woman to deal with all your bullshit.
Man,
so
I feel like
Joanne, your daughters, let's
go, girls.
They get gold stars all the way, all day long.
Can you just lead us out of here so we can go to work?
Like, subscribe, do all the things, share with your friends, make us famous.
Make us
famous.
We won't forget you.
No, we will.
Probably.
Peace.
Bye.